Hi, Bill Jones from Turntastic Wood Designs. I made this bench for sitting on this weekend. It was a pretty simple build. It was really nice this weekend out in southeast Indiana, so I was able to work outside a lot, and that made it nice. So I put together this bench. It's 72 inches long and 19 inches high. It has 5 small drawers and 5 cubbies. If you'd like to see how I did it, stick around. I had a general idea of how I wanted the bench to look and how I wanted it to be sized. So I went ahead and went into SketchUp and drew it up in SketchUp, and that worked out. Then I took that drawing and pulled it apart component by component and laid each component out on a couple of 4-foot by 8-foot rectangles to lay out a cut list so that I could have the most efficient way of cutting the plywood, so I knew what material I would need. I laid out the lines according to my cut list, and started breaking down the plywood. To put the interior parts together, I'm using a joint that actually I don't know what you call this joint, but I cut halfway through each piece like this, and they'll go together like such. I think you can see that. And that makes a pretty strong joint. To cut that joint, I'm using this router bit, all right? Now, 3/4 inch plywood is not exactly 3/4 of an inch. It's a little bit shy. Fortunately, I have a router bit that is made for cutting dados in 3/4 inch plywood that is just the right width. So I use this router bit to cut part way through and make this joint, and I found that it fits perfect. And it's so tight that I can knock it in with a rawhide mallet, and it's really stiff, and stiff enough without any glue. I will wind up putting glue on it anyway, but makes for a really good joint. So I'll show doing some of that next. The material is too thick to hog out all that material in just one pass, so I cut the slots in 2 passes. And here's the interior assembly dry fit together. Before I assembled the parts, I ironed on some edge banding to the ends of the plywood that would show. And I mounted some hardwood drawer guides on both sides of each divider and on the insides of each side. Next, I assembled the interior components, and they were a really tight fit. I pre-drilled for some plugs, then using self-tapping panhead screws, screwed the cabinet together. I put some glue on some plugs. Then I tapped those plugs into the holes with a nut mallet. Took a flush trim saw and trimmed off the excess. Then I took a sander and sanded over that. And when the cabinet is painted, you'll never see where that plug was. I cut the parts for the drawers on the table saw, and then at the router table I cut slots in the sides to accept the drawer guides. I cut slots in the drawer sides and the drawer front to accept the drawer bottom. Then I raised the blade and cut the width of the drawer back. I used pocket hole construction to assemble the drawer carcass. I cut a piece of 1/4-inch plywood for the drawer bottoms. I then slid it into the slot I cut earlier and tacked it down to the drawer with 1-inch brad nails. After the drawers were all finished, the last thing to do was put on a back. I cut a piece of hardboard to fit the back and just tacked it on with some 1-inch brads. Well, there it is. It came out pretty good. It still needs several things. These cubbies are going to be used to hold baskets. There's some big baskets that are going to go in there. This whole thing is going to get painted, and then there's going to be some kind of drawer pull. What I had in mind for a drawer pull is one of those that looks like a ring that's inset, that sits in there so that when you sit on it, it won't hurt your calves. But I still have to talk to the person who this is for to make sure that that's what they want. It's something that can easily be knocked out in a weekend. And if you'd like to make your own, you could customize it to be different things, make it for wine or whatever. But this was a fun build. Well, if you liked this video and found it useful, please like and share with your friends on social media. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. It really helps me out. If you have any questions for me about this build or any other build or anything you've seen on my shop or on my channel, please let me know in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to hear from you. And as always, thanks for watching.